one more live to do, everybody, and hopefully I don't lose connection. My last video terminated early, but hopefully it all goes good and we'll get through this. I'll let people log on. I want to thank Incho Side-Eye. Thank you. Thank you for the wet sweat and share. I always love videos out there. This summer I'm going to get to British Columbia. I'm going to spend some time there. I'll finish up here in Ontario, the contract I have to finish out in power. And I'll probably take a job in BC so that I can get through all 21 of the extinct peoples of British Columbia, who, folks, Canadians, First Peoples, are all alive and well today in northern USA on the west coast. They're all alive there, just south of the Canadian border of British Columbia. All 21. In fact, folks, those 21 that are no longer alive and well today in Canada have rights. They have rights to try to come to Canada. Supreme Court gave them that, but the government, under Liberals and Conservatives, they're one and the same crown, decided that the J Treaty USA honors with all the First People will never apply in Canada because filthy savages must be destroyed, liquidated, assimilated into slavery, or destroyed. You will bend the knee to the crown. You will give us our land, entitlement, crown land, in unceded BC. What is unceded British Columbia? Remember the words, British Columbia. What is unceded land? Unceded land means the First Peoples never signed treaties. So the government of Canada, for all Canadians, hello, wake up. We are at war with all the Indians of British Columbia outside of the Northern Treaty overlaps. Everything else BC, largely almost all of it in, again, British Columbia, aka Cascadia. Did you know that Russia, the Russian Federation, has the entire history of BC logged in St. Petersburg? All of the extinct First Peoples of British Columbia are alive and well in St. Petersburg, as well as, folks, almost all the academic institutions of the United States of America. What is unceded? That is a war by a government foreign to the native population of an area. Unceded land means the government that's assuming itself is going to, by force, take it away from peoples they don't want to sign any treaties with. All of Vancouver is unceded, nearly all of it unceded. 2.5 million people live there on land stolen, assumed through genocide. No treaties, no deals. The government took it. We have David Eby. He's the new premier of BC. Took over for John Horgan. Continues on the lie. A genocidal tyrant premier. They have RCMP with the full endorsement of Justin Trudeau, tyrant prime minister, and his official opposition leader, His Majesty's official opposition leader, Pierre Poilievre. They're going to continue to eradicate, bully, and genocide First Peoples in those areas. They're going to continue on until the wet sweating are dead. They bully you. They do the same thing in Caledonia, right out here in Ontario. They're still waging Indian wars. Folks, the United States of America ended all Indian wars in 1920. Canada continues on in front of the whole world. We're not actually killing too many. We only rape women and they disappear, largely in BC. We don't know what happens to them. Their bodies go missing, just like the residential school children. And Canada knows international law They don't want to anger the United States. They don't want to anger Russia. Both neighbors on our borders, both. Alaska used to be Russia. Used to be Russia. Everybody should know this in history. USA bought it. We used to have the Russia-American Company right alongside the Hudson Bay Company. All the first peoples the Russians came in contact with, as well as all the American came in contact with, USA, were logged, not destroyed, and their peoples were learned and placed and saved in all their academic institutions. First peoples in what is Cascadia, which is almost all of BC, were taken to St. Petersburg, where Russians learned the language and the culture. They didn't assimilate them. Russians never did that. They went all the way down almost to Texas, folks, in real history, before the USA was a country and before Canada was even a country. When the British Empire was doing its colonialism, Russia didn't follow suit. They were brutal too, don't get me wrong, but they didn't colonize. They had bases and military operations, but they worked with the first peoples in history, and they learned them. You can look at the Russian Federation today. They have more than 14 languages representing their 87 regions. They don't wipe out anybody, not religions, not languages, nothing. It's all saved, all there. So is all of those in Cascadia, much of the Métis, and absolutely all the way to the Grand River and the Six Nations. They've got you logged. Russia did that. It's not fake. USA did too. All the same peoples below the border. For the American Indians, they're all logged and saved. Even the eradicated peoples of Cascadia, which is BC. What's happening there today? The government of Canada, who wants to keep it below 3%, the war, the Indian, because there's a lot of radical countries out there, just like the government of Canada, and they kill over and they commit gross human rights violations over 3%. Some lots more than 3%. And the P5, Eby, he's doing it. He's doing it on behalf of the Liberal Party of Canada. He's the provincial crown. He's administering it. Those RCMP work every level of government and have absolute military authority. There are only a few countries in the world that existed like that. If you guess Nazi Germany, sure, look at their policing system after the Enabling Act. It was a one-size-fits-all police force from municipal all the way to military police. Only the RCMP exists like that predominantly in the world today. Every other country that had a police force that had the power of municipal right to military authority are eradicated today. We called them Nazis. We called them the internment Japanese. We can go on and on and on. South Africa had theirs. It's long gone today. We can go on and on and on. Africa created police forces and new regimes that had to be liquidated and eradicated because they committed the same genocides that's going on in British Columbia today. But a larger percentage. Canada, again, doesn't matter if it's liberal, doesn't matter if it's conservative, doesn't matter if it's NDP or any other parties that come to power. Those are the predominant central crown with regional crown attachments today. Been this way for decades. All Canadians need to know this stuff. It's the government of Canada, one of the most ruthless, brutal human rights violators going on today. Again, folks, America doesn't have any Indian wars. American Indians have 155 constitutions. They have their own federal divisional power, just like a state. Just like a state. They have tremendously more land than every Canadian. All Canadian First Peoples, whether that's unceded, ceded Indians, Métis, or Inuit, and all Canadians combined Less than an eighth the population of American Indians have 133% more land than all of you combined. Canada's huge. We're much larger than the United States. There's massive lands available, but the Crown says it's ours. We'll take it by force. We are divine human beings. Subjects aren't people. Savages aren't people or even entitled to be in the human family. That's forever and a day Canada. Nobody can dispute this. They can come up with Indigenous, Aboriginal, First Nations, all of it, but there is only one law, whether it's through the Arctic Council for Canada or all of the treaty lands and those outside in the unceded. You are and forever under the Indian Act. You are all Indians. That's how the Canadian government sees you. That's how they've legally designed you, a savage. And it's never changed. It's never been repealed. It's there from 1876, and it's there today. Anyone telling you it's not that case is a liar. A liar. And yes, Canadians, our government is administering genocide and is an official war with all unceded Indians. This is Six Nations, Caledonia, Ontario, everything along the Grand River, and much outside of it. Then there's almost all of British Columbia, a whopping majority of it. British Columbia, aka Cascadia. Neither USA or Russia could breach that. They couldn't of the time. Now today the world is a lot different. If we could get Russia and USA in penmanship with a sponsorship attached of China, we could win it. Very tough to do as Russia and USA are at each other. Who benefits? Well, all the Crown colonials do. And remember, Canadians and First Peoples, communism is the absence of all property rights. Who else takes all the property rights away? Well, the Crown does. The Crown does. Just like communism, but it's even much worse because it's a pyramid scheme where there's a divine human being and then there's everybody else as you go down. And being third class, or worse, the savage Indian at the very bottom, is the worst place to be. Only 9% of this country is available to the subjects. 0.2% is available to all the First People. So when you look at treaty Indians in the interior, they have absolutely the least. When you look at unceded places like British Columbia and Six Nations here in Ontario, you start to realize just how bad it really is. It's a gross human rights violation, and nobody wants to do anything about it. Everybody thinks this is normal. There is nothing normal. There's nothing to celebrate in Canada. It's gross. It's wrong. It's a diseased mind. We talk about biblical floods. What does the Canadian government want to do to the Wet'suwet'en? They want to flood them right out through hydro. They want to dam everything up and let the waters blast right through their territory and wash them away so that they will not be able to hunt, live, or have anything to do with their lands. They want a pipeline put through their lands by force instead of settling the claims and letting them be a part of it. Will the pipeline make a difference? No, folks. You're being lied to again. For all subjects and savages, please learn this. These are not my words. This is how Canada legally has and always will define you. And anyone saying anything else contrary is a liar. You'll never find a politician talking about, because they go like this: oh no, don't bring that up with me. Don't bring it up with me. Indigenous, Aboriginal. It's all a lie. That's not the legal definition by Canadian law. And it shows in their actions. Gross human rights violations. That's what they do. It's never going to end until we, the people, change it. We elect to office someone who wants to do constitutional conventions for all peoples, a nation within a nation. Those who say it's cockamamie and ludicrous, it's not. Look at the United States of America today. It was done 52 years ago, and it only gets better and better and better. Americans enjoy 94.5% of the United States of America as private property. Canadians, you get 9%. First Peoples, you get 0.2%. Nothing like the United States of American Indians. They have their own self-government, self-determination, their own constitutions, and a great deal more land. Poor First Peoples in Canada crushed into tiny reserves right out of a genocidal playbook. People should look at all the reserves listed in Canada and go plot them. Some are on cliffs. Did you know that? You can look at a reserve that's mapped on the wall of a cliff, like Head Smashed in Buffalo Jump. You go live there. On a cliff? Okay. It's sick, it's wrong, it's deranged. The government of Canada and the RCMP are to eradicate the Wet'suwet'en and many other First Peoples. The Wet'suwet'en are a large parcel, but there's many, many more. Indigenous is a lie. Aboriginal is a lie. It is only Indian. In Canada, it is only Indian. Legislated and enacted underneath the Indian Act 1876. It applies to all the First Peoples in Canada. Even the Arctic peoples, the Inuk and the Inuit, doesn't matter. If you're in Canadian territories claimed by Canada, you've been legislated under that through the Indian Act. Indian agents did it all. Savage peoples, all of Canada, not the same in the United States of America, not even remotely the same in the Federation of Russia. All the same First Peoples. You're all one. I can show you right through who's who, all your